roller coaster.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. That's why we're in tariqah.
Oh, it gets tougher.
Huh?
It gets tougher?
Yeah, no, you're talking about the struggle of life. And how do you go through the struggle of life? And that becomes the reason why we all move towards a spiritual path, move towards tariqah, so that not to be in life alone and to be constantly guided and inspired by people more pious than ourselves. And Shaitan wants us to believe that we can have a relationship directly with the Divine. And that's all.
Right.
Just you make your connection directly to the Divine and you'll be successful. But the reality is that it's not so cheap. It's not so easy. It's the grandeur of an amazing king. And so many obstacles that are always coming in our path, trying to make it difficult to reach that reality. And the reality is to love the Divine is to love His creation. We're saying His is no His or her.
Yes.
But to love Allah's creation is to love Allah. So to love the Divine is to love the creation. And in reality, He doesn't need our money, He doesn't need our prayers, He doesn't need anything from us. But the ultimate is that He needs us to be of service to one another. It says, if you love your brother and sister, because we create this as one family, many different nations, many different tribes, many different colors, many different labels of religions. But if you ultimately realize these are your brothers and sisters, so then a true believer, forget about the label of what somebody thinks is a believer. A true believer, a sincere believer, is one that is of service and constantly involved with creation, constantly trying to help creation by helping themselves. So tariqah and spirituality and the masters are constantly teaching us that reality. That the whole image of a Rasul, the whole image of a messenger, when you bring it all into just a small caption and try to, like a 3-point bulletin of what is a prophet and what is the purpose of a messenger, is they exemplified the perfection of a servant. And that servant was a pastor, was a shepherd, that was given an amount of sheep to watch over them.
Right.
And to make sure that all of them arrive at the destination that they were told to reach. They were not supposed to eat them, they were not supposed to beat them, they were not supposed to torture them, and they were not supposed to send them in a different direction. So then the example of a Nabi, a Rasul, a messenger, was the example of the perfection of creation. Was our what we should make as a stereotype for ourselves. That we are perfecting ourselves. You are praying for what? Praying to be a perfected servant that serves other people. Are you praying for yourself so that you have inspiration for lotteries, you have inspirations to tell people what's behind the wall? No, the reality of why you pray is so that you become a better servant to serve others. Why you go for Hajj is to understand that metaphor. Why you give zakah? So that you understand that it's not yours, it belongs to everybody around you. They should all benefit from what Allah gave you to be custodian over. So you find that all of our principles are not actually for ourselves, but for our embetterment, to make us to be perfected beings. If we apply those principles. So many people think that I pray so that, I'm a great person and that Allah will save me and everybody else can be punished. No, the concept was that you were supposed to pray so that you be a better person to serve others. And then we find that all these pillars were examples. That you prayed, you paid, qamat salat, Mirahmadi, you fasted. Why? Not so that you got the reward of Jannah and went to paradise for yourself, but you fasted to understand there are many people who are not eating. There are many people every night that are hungry. And you sit in the lap of luxury with more food than we can imagine throwing it. And there are people who are not. So we find all of our pillars were not for ourselves to get the ticket and go and run into paradise, close the door and hope everybody burns. But the pillars were to perfect the character, because Allah wants everybody in the image of the Nabi. Everybody wants, Allah wants them in the way of the Prophet. Use him as an example and model yourself after him. Means, do you have the ears that Prophet has, where he hears the command of the Divine and he submits his soul to the calling of the Divine? Do you have the eyes of the Nabi? Means that is your concern in dunya or is the concern for akhirah? So means the eyes of the Nabi means are closed to dunya. They constantly close their eyes, and this dunya not important. What's important is the eyes of the soul to connect with that divine power, so that inspiration comes, understanding comes. Because this dunya is a big magic act. Everything in it is an illusion, and you'll be lost by the magicians. But when you close your eyes, means then Allah can teach, the Divine can teach the reality of sight. Means close your eyes and keep our company. When you're in that company, then guidance and inspiration comes. Then is your breath, means is your nafas, and what's sustaining your physicality, is it for dunya or is it coming from akhirah? So then are you breathing in remembrance? And Mawlana Shaykh and all of Naqshbandi Sufi way, each chapter of the Grand Shaykhs, our way is built on the breath. So we are oversimplifying the understanding that that breath is our gift of life. Without that breath, everything else is irrelevant. Your money, your wife, your children, your husbands, your cars, every other sustenance is nothing if you have no breath. So then the saddest thing is, go look at the children who are suffering from asthma. Every breath as if they're dying. And the fear of death, of suffocation, is a horrible, horrible feeling. Take yourself in the water and just hold your breath and say, I'm going to try to suffocate myself. When you come up for that last second and gasping for air, means then that is the most important rahmah. That's why we call nafas al-rahmah. Why? Because we are asking so many things in this room. Each person unhappy with Allah because they didn't get what they wanted. But we have to want what we have before we ask for other things. And the biggest and the greatest gift we have is the gift of life. And Allah, one time He's fed up with us, and it can be in an instant. So I'm going to make your breath very hard for you to get. Where instead of arguing and complaining for all these other things you want, I just make you take your breath with difficulty. God forbid, and God forbid that He make that difficult for us. That He keep away that difficulty from us. But that's nafas al-rahmah. Ya Rabbi, hamdulillah wa shukrulillah. I mean that you gave me this breath, and I'm making this breath in remembrance. So the shaykhs are teaching that if we open that rahmah, if we're thankful for that breath and for that understanding, every other rahmah opens, every other mercy opens, because we appreciated the gift of life. It means that it answers many questions for us. We don't put all these things into the body that are going to contaminate that breath, that are going to poison that breath, that are going to bring difficulty onto that breath. We're actually trying to purify the breath. Not throw all sorts of sustenances and all sorts of contaminants and pollutants into the breath, but we're trying to purify that breath with zikr and in remembrance. This is the Nabi showing us your ears, your eyes, and most powerful, your nafas. When we can understand that breath is solely for the Divine and remembrance of the Divine, and as often as we can when we're contemplating Ya Rabbi Shukr and breathing in, bringing in Allah, whatever the zikr is that we're remembering and understanding and appreciating the breath. Then Allah Azza wa Jal opens, and Allah describes the greatest of openings is hikmah. Hikmah. Ilma laduni wa hikmati bisalihin. Means that when the ears are submitting and the eyes are submitting and the breath is in remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal, opening what made the Rasul to be Rasul. Means the opening of the power of the tongue. Means you speak from lisan al-haq. Means you speak from the tongue of Prophet lisan al-Siddiq, moving from the Prophet to his Sahabi, to Awliya Allah, to the followers and lovers of Awliya Allah. They speak the truth. Is then the Rasul showing us that that's all we were created to be. Submit our ears, submit our eyes, submit our breath. With all that submission, you speak the truth. Means then the divine can work through that servant, and we find the ultimate work that he wants from us is to be of service. So then we go out and find out how we can serve others. And in the service of others, we actually find that we serve ourselves the most. Means if nobody to share with, we don't grow. Just us, sick by myself. And we find the greatest of sharing, and Naqshbandi's secret is that, is you don't preach to the choir. You don't have to find a group of people who already know what you know, already believe what you believe, and go sit and try to convince them of what you already know. But to share with others who don't understand what you believe, don't have access to what you've heard. And in their excitement, you find your life. You find your whole purpose. You're constantly rejuvenated with that crowd. When people come and this is new to them and they're hearing it and their excitement means that the arrogant thought is though that I'm conveying something and these people are enjoying it. But the reality is that when they are enjoying it, we are finding our faith reborn. Through them, the water is no longer stagnant. Why you have to make wudu in a big water and not a small bowl? Because water becomes stagnant. 5 people of the same faith get together, it's stagnant, nothing happening. You have to constantly renew the water. Means you have to bring a new source of people who have not heard that teaching, people who haven't had access to that teaching, and in their excitement, you find your faith. And Allah is making our sustenance to be there. You're going to find the power of your soul, the power of your sustenance in their enjoyment. Their enjoyment is what's going to empower us. And that's true for all our walks of life. So somebody who has faced child abuse and comes and says, you know, how do I find a remedy in my life as I want to go on and get on with my life and take my life to the next stage and forgive this issue that's happened in my life?
Yes.
It's the same. You develop yourself, you perfect yourself, you clean yourself, and then you deal with children who have been abused. And in dealing with them and talking with them and giving them hope, you're actually opening up all that healing for yourself. It means by serving our brothers and sisters,
Yes.
we find that we are the ones who benefit the most. And that becomes the secret of tariqah. That's why tariqah goes to all these different places that people say, why do you have to go there? Why do you have to deal with these type of people, those types of people? Because that's the secret of our faith. That's what makes this garden to always be fresh. Tariqah garden is not grass, but it's a garden filled with endless flowers of all different sizes, shapes and colors. Because grass is boring, especially if there's a lot of it, then you just have to mow all the time. But a garden is visually beautiful, constantly different. And that becomes the secret of tariqah, the secret of tariqah's success. On how to be of service and to love all. And in that we find that we are benefiting the most, we grow the most. What was the question?
Shaykh, the need that we need to closely knit ourselves with Mawlana, with Shaykh, is that it's more obvious that is it because alone if you try to do something you cannot achieve those results, right? If you want to, even if you want to astaghfirullah, you want to fight shaitan in whatever ways he comes and approaches you, then with Mawlana's, his guidance is behind it, so it is easier to take those negative things out of your life than try to keep on correcting yourself. It's a harder way.
Yeah, imagine what a disrespect we have for Allah. That for every other aspect of our life, we know that we need teachers. I want to go to med school, I want to be a cardiologist, and I don't need any professor. I don't need an establishment. I don't need a university and faculty. I don't need all that they have. I can merely take a book and maybe an opinion letter from a good professor and do it myself. You can't do that in accounting, you can't do that in medicine, you can't do that in physics. You cannot do that in any aspect of our material life. So why is it that you can apply that for the divine, that you have such low esteem? Not you in general. Why do we have such a low esteem for the divine, that it's just so easy I can do it myself, and I can combat all these difficulties myself? And as soon as I do something and I'm feeling depressed, I can figure out a remedy myself. But in every aspect of our life, the divine is saying you need each other. You cannot cut your family ties and find success in life. You cannot cut who you are. Because you're not abtar, you're not something that's just been cut from all ends, just dangling there in suspension. We are in need of each other. We are in need of interaction. It's like mountain climbing. Our whole life on this material world is mountain climbing. And somebody is going and putting in the stakes and the rope. And there's somebody coming from below and moving up, moving up, moving up. And somebody going, somebody moving. Somebody going and somebody moving. Means Allah is making us to be in need of each other, because that keeps our social and family community unit together, so that we live a life where we're together versus a life where we're just all by ourselves, shut our doors. So in that reality, in that pursuit of that reality, divine showing you go, you're going to have difficulties. When you get to that difficulty, that mentor, that master has understood that process. He's already been through that. He can describe what chant, what emotion, what state you're going through. Do this and continue. And you go, you go, you go, until that master sends you to someone else, if he cannot give you the answer for that spiritual path. But our whole lives are based on that reality. And in every aspect, from going to kindergarten to today, we've always needed teachers, and we always needed students. And we have a community based on that. So definitely in times of difficulty, it's going to become more and more relevant. That people need advice, and people need to have a source of information that is correct. Otherwise, they go through difficulty. They reach a state of hopelessness, feeling they're alone in the world, and nobody can help them. Because that's what people have conditioned themselves. But no, there are many people, spiritual masters, who have given their whole lives. Shaykh Muhammad, Nazim, Mawlana Shaykh Hisham, Qabbani, Shaykh Qabbani, big, huge Naqshbandi murshids who have accomplished unimaginable levels of guidance. And they exist in this dunya only for guiding. They reach a state of death before death. They reach a state where, finish, given choice, you go that side, you're dead, or higher is come back and serve creation. Means your level of progress so high, you don't need to be in dunya anymore. And they exist in dunya only for the purpose. In dunya we say the material world. They exist in this material world only for the purpose of seeking the satisfaction of Prophet, satisfaction of Allah, because they're guides. And they're there as a tremendous rope to lift us up and to carry us through that difficulty, inshaAllah. Yes.
Our problem arises in this world that we do need a guide to reach Allah. But when we look around this world, there's so many guides, and there's some guides are the true guides, and other guides we see lots of them around causing this warfare, dishonesty, poverty, destruction in this world. Problem for us as human beings is in our day-to-day life, how do we know who is a true guide and who isn't? Because there are a lot of people, and I'm talking about the Islamic world, we see problems, murder and killing in Afghanistan and in Iraq and then in Palestine. What's happening? There are guides who are leading the people astray. So how does the humanity in general choose a true guide which leads you to peace and to Allah's way?
Again, we take it down to a much smaller level and worry about ourselves. Humanity as a whole is difficult to give an answer for, but for the individual, because we start one life at a time. So each individual, based on what they want, they will find. It's like looking for a restaurant. What you're hungry for, you're going to find. Allah gives you all the choices there. But if you end up at Chinese restaurant and you get sick, it's your fault. You wanted Chinese and maybe it wasn't clean. It means people find and seek exactly what they want. If they're sincere, then faith in Allah. If you are sincere, why Allah to send you someone else? Who's in charge of this whole program? It must be Allah Azza wa Jalla. But these people, they find what they want. When you talk to them, they want violence. They find somebody crazy. They want this and they find that. The ones whom are sincere, they find sincere servants to guide them. And you see that in every aspect of life. If there's a woman who's bad and has bad intentions and comes to you and says, I keep finding bad men. What does you want from them? So I want lots of money, I want cars and a house. So well, that doesn't sound like a very nice intention. You just want to milk somebody. So you're going to get somebody who wants to milk you. It means then the relationship is bad. If the intention starts bad, then Allah gives an action that will match that intention. But if my intention is sincere, my intention, Ya Rabbi, I want to be abd. I want to be annihilated. I want to be at the threshold of your awliya Allah. I want to be nothing in their presence, just to serve. Ilahi anta maqsoodi wa ridaak matlab. Allah, I'm not going to guide you. Everybody in this room has already been guided. How many are choosing that guide that's there? We choose on and off. We choose when it's convenient. We choose when it's good. Today, I'm accepting Mawlana Shaykh as my guide. Tomorrow, I feel like doing something bad, and I'm not accepting Mawlana Shaykh as my guide. And the day after tomorrow, when we fell into a hole and we want a way out, I'm accepting Mawlana Shaykh as my guide. Yeah. ثُمَّ عَمَلُوا وَثُمَّ كَفَرُوا. One day they believe, one day they disbelieve. It's completely the way. So then our answer is based on sincerity. People will find what they need to find. And most important, Tariqah teaches is that reality of servanthood is you cannot serve Allah. Abdullah, servant of Allah is only Sayyidina Muhammad. There's no prophet who came that could serve Allah like that. Each one came short. Ati Allah, ati Rasul, wa ulul amri minkum. Ati Allah, obedience to Allah is only for the Nabi. It's only for Rasulullah because he's Abdullah. Wa ati Rasul. Who's going to be able to find and to follow the greatness of Sayyidina Muhammad? These are the ulul amr. That's why Allah is giving these three in that order. It didn't say ati Allah and then stop. Everybody ati Allah, everybody obey. Ati Rasul. Wa ulul amr. Because he knows very few people can reach to Prophet ﷺ's hand in complete obedience. and saying we're going to follow that sharia, we're going to follow completely what you have inspired and what Allah has dressed you with, these are Sahabi. From Sahabi, these are Awliya Allah that sacrificed and went through tremendous difficulty to reach that. وَأُولُو الْأَمْرِ means then those who are connected to Awliya Allah, they're going to dispense that teaching. So the first step in Abd is there is no way to be Abdullah, to serve Allah. So we humble ourselves, Ya Rabbi, that's huge. It's enough for me to try to obey your Rasul. Let me to be in the threshold of your Rasul, Ashiq Rasul. And every day asking, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Rasul al-Kareem, Ya Habib al-Azim, open for me from that presence. I'm in need of this, I'm in need of that, I'm in need of this. Asking Prophet ﷺ to ask Allah. He's our wasila, He's our way. Then when we understood that and that presence and the hayba of Prophet ﷺ's presence opens, you feel shy. You feel shy in Rawdat al-Sharif, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Rasul al-Kareem. I'm not clean to come like that. Even out of Haris alaykum bil mu'mineen huwa ra'ufur rahim. You're ra'ufur rahim, and I'm shy to come into your presence. I'm backing up. Even your door open, I know you're going to embrace me, you're going to kiss me, you're going to love me, but I'm shy. I'm not clean to be there. Send me to your awliya Allah that will wash me, that will clean me, will purify me, will wash my janazah, will wash this body and present me to you, pure and clean. How you can go with junub into the presence of Prophet ﷺ? How you go with no cleanliness into the Prophet's presence ﷺ? Is then the whole understanding of tariqah was opening that love to the hayba, to be purified and cleansed, to be brought into that presence and to understand. I asked the question today, what's the zikr of Prophet ﷺ? Allah. Prophet ﷺ came to this dunya to teach us the zikr, Allah. What's the zikr of Allah? Inna Allahi wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala Sayyidina Muhammad. So you want to do the zikr of Allah, make salawat al-Nabi sallallahu. This is the secret of that relationship. Zikr of Allah is from Prophet sallallahu. But zikr of Allah is salawat al-Nabi sallallahu. Because inna Allahi, Allah is saying, my zikr, inna Allahi wa malaikatahu, means that Allah's izzat and Allah's purified light, which are malaika, all that power and qudra is going into salawat al-Nabi sallallahu. Because that light, that power, that creation is powered only by Allah. That's why Sayyidina Ahmad sallallahu has the alif in his name. His hamd. Allah with that hamd, that Prophet ﷺ's light has been created. He's the hamd. Who's hamd? Who's praising? The alif's praising. So he's Ahmad. He's showing us the greatness of Prophet ﷺ. That if we want to do the zikr of Allah, make salawat al-Nabi ﷺ. Means then this opens for us the relationship. Oh, serve Allah, serve Allah, serve Allah. You want to serve Allah, yubayyunaka yubayyun Allah, fa'ata'u fa'ata'u Allah. Means if you obey Prophet ﷺ, you have obeyed Allah. If you have seen Sayyidina Muhammad ﷺ, you have seen Allah. He was telling his Sahabi. Means that reflection that you're looking for is flowing through Sayyidina Muhammad ﷺ. And the Shaykhs are carrying that reflection and bringing that into dunya. That all that love you have, love those murshids, accept them as your guide, accept them for all that you want and all that you need, connect your heart to their presence and ask that they open the presence of Sayyidina Muhammad, opening the presence of the prophetic kingdom, all of which are brothers waiting there, from Sayyidina Adam, Sayyidina Nuh, Sayyidina Ibrahim, Sayyidina Musa, Sayyidina Isa and Sayyidina Muhammad. all these Nabis and Rasuls waiting there to dress us from their light and dress us from their presence. وحرمة محمد المصطفى سورة الفاتحة.